as we say every week. I hope that you've been well. Since last week on Wednesday, it was the last time we were here for Afya Clinic, and I hope that God has been gracious and good to you the whole of this week. What are you thanking God for? And as you tell us that, tutakuwa tunakuja kusoma ujumbe wako just to know what you're thanking God for, and also tell us not to watch kutoka wapi na to watch na kina nani. How has your week been? Of course, this is Afya Clinic, where we talk about everything health, and we're having this discussion right here on MBCI TV, ambapo tunabadilisha maisha by the grace of God. Mvua inawapeleka aje? I've had people complaining, oh, homa hapa na pale. I'm one of those people, but even with that, God has been so good. So I can't wait to hear what you're thanking God for today, because we say that this is Afya Clinic, where we talk about everything health. Today we'll be talking about malaria. Malaria is one of the topics of discussions that we've had you as our viewer and as our guest of honor, kwa sababu tulisema you're always our guest of honor, asking us, talk about malaria, and you say, is it that serious? So we said, no, let's talk about it, just to get to see and understand, is it really that serious? Because we've had people complaining about, unajua nilikuwa na malaria, this and this and this. So that is what we'll be talking about today. Our numbers are very open. That is 0721105105 on WhatsApp 23814, our SMS code, which is absolutely free of charge. And of course, we're live on Facebook on the MBCI TV Facebook page. We're live on YouTube on the MBCI TV official YouTube page. So officially, karibu sana ndani ya Afya Clinic, where we'll be talking about everything health. And today we are having a nurse with vast experience. And today, she'll be the right person to answer all your questions. So officially, karibu sana. My name is Rachel Kahugu, and on all social media pages, after Rachel Kahugu, send in your questions, your comments, I'll be able to find you loud and clear. And now, who we are having on set today, let's get the guest profile.
Welcome to another informative episode of Afya Clinic, your go-to health show where we break down medical matters that affect you and me, hosted by Rachel Kahugu. Today, we are shedding light on one of the most common yet dangerous diseases, malaria. It continues to be a major public health concern here in Kenya, especially in malaria-prone regions. But how much do we really know about it? From symptoms to prevention and the role we all have to play, we are getting into it. To help us unpack this is a passionate and experienced health professional, Nurse Asnath Anjejo. She currently serves at Lanet Health Center under the Ministry of Health. She brings with her a wealth of experience, having previously served at PGH Nakuru, Evans Hospital, and Optimum Hospital Nakuru. She is dedicated to community health, and today she joins us to share her insights on the fight against malaria. Help me welcome to the show, Nurse Asnath Anjejo.
All right, so that is who we are having today. And, every time we talk about, psychology says when you know very well who you are having a set, it's usually very easy to relate to them. So, karibu sana. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, Lanet kokwaje, before we get into the actual discussion. How's Lanet?
Kuko sawa. Ni wagonjwa hapa kule, but we thank God we are alive.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And before we get into the topic of discussion today, we'll be talking about malaria. Is that from the horse's mouth? We'd want you to say hi, and that's your camera. Tell people about how you're doing and introduce yourself once again.
Hi everyone, my name is Asnath Anjejo Kabasa. I'm a nurse working at Lanet Health Center in Nakuru County, Nakuru East Sub-County. As the profile said, I've worked in so many different facilities in Nakuru, and currently I'm working at Lanet Health Center.
Yeah.
I mostly specialize in taking care of the mothers who are pregnant, and we try as much to prevent HIV transmission from child to the mother. But still, malaria is one of the conditions that we are worried about in children and even in mothers who are pregnant, mothers who are breastfeeding. So it's a topic I'll gladly feel free to share with the public.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Perfect. Now, today we'll be talking about malaria, and as you said, it's also a health concern. And you'd want to know how serious it is. Mostly people talk about malaria, and the first thing I think of is, have you been taking care of yourself? Wewe, mbona umepata malaria? You know. Yeah. So we want to get into depth of this particular topic, that is malaria. But before we get there, is that we'd want for you to understand what exactly is malaria and what is the history of malaria. Now let's get into the in history segment, prepared by the one and only Martin.
Malaria, a deadly infectious disease caused by Plasmodium parasites, has been known to humanity for thousands of years. Ancient civilization, including the Egyptians and Greeks, recorded symptoms resembling malaria, though they did not fully understand its causes. Malaria was initially spread through mosquito bites, but the role of mosquitoes was not recognized until the late 19th century. Malaria remained prevalent throughout the world, particularly in tropical regions where it was a major cause of death and morbidity for centuries. In the 19th century, significant strides were made in understanding the biology of malaria. In 1880, French doctors Charles Louis Alphonse discovered the Plasmodium parasite in the blood of infected individuals, identifying it as the cause of the disease. The next major breakthrough occurred in 1897 when British physician Sir Ronald Ross demonstrated that mosquitoes were vectors responsible for transmitting the parasite. This discovery helped lay the groundwork for strategies to control the disease through insect control and anti-malarial drugs. Throughout the 20th century, efforts to combat malaria intensified with the development of drugs like quinine, chloroquine, and artemisinin-based combination therapies. Global campaigns, especially in the mid-1900s, led to some success in reducing malaria in certain areas. However, drug resistance and the resurgence of the disease in many parts of the world, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, have continued to challenge efforts to eradicate it. Today, malaria remains a major global issue with ongoing research and efforts aimed at finding a vaccine and improving prevention and treatment methods.
Perfect. So you get to understand what malaria is about and the history behind malaria. Most of the time we talk about malaria and it's directly proportional, let me use that word, to mosquitoes. Yeah. I know you want to ask so many questions around that, but let's get into the discussion. As we get into the discussion, I just want to remind you that our numbers are very open. That is 0721 105 105 on WhatsApp, 23814, our SMS code, which is absolutely free of charge. We're live on Facebook on MBCI TV Facebook page. We're live on YouTube on MBCI TV official YouTube page. And on all those social media pages, and our numbers will be able to get your feedback, your comments. So if you have any question about malaria, you've had malaria before and it's something that you really didn't understand, and now you have some questions about it, today is when we get to answer all those questions. So, Nas karibu sana once again, and thank you so much for being here to help us understand this particular topic.
Thank you.
For us, for a good start to lay the foundation, in layman's language, malaria ni nini?
Malaria, nitasema ni ugonjwa ambao it spreads through mosquito.
Yeah.
Actually, we say vector, the one that carries now the parasite,
yeah,
is a female mosquito. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they chose a female one, but
yeah,
it's a female mosquito.
Yeah.
It carries the parasite, which is called Plasmodium falciparum. It is the most common. Though we have so many parasites that can still carry the malaria parasite, okay, but the specific one that spreads so fast is the falciparum. So nitasema ni hii mosquito kisha beba, it bites someone that has malaria, alafu kisha beba inaenda inauma mtu mwingine mwenye hana malaria. So that if the infected female mosquito bites a different person who doesn't have malaria, the other person gets the parasite, and the parasite now starts spreading through the bloodstream, then goes to the liver, then it replicates there, then it spreads, and that is how continuous it is. So if we get someone who's infected in Nakuru today, it will spread like that through the through the female mosquito, Anopheles.
How long does it take? Seeing someone assuming mtu amwe na mosquito leo. Sorry about that. How long does it take?
Okay, it depends with the immunity of a person. Sorry for that. It depends with the immunity of a person. Some would take up to even 7 days, 5 to 7 days. Some would even take up to 2 weeks. So it depends with the immunity of a person that has been bitten by the mosquito.
All right. Let's take a very short break.
Sorry for that.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
This is the season. Ladies, it is your time to arise. It is a time to be a Deborah. Kingdom Seekers Fellowship invites you to the annual Ladies Conference 2025 from 8th to 11th April 2025. Join us at the Harvest Cathedral, Nakuru for 4 powerful days of transformation, empowerment and revival. The conference will climax with a glorious Kesha on Friday 11th April from 9:30 p.m. Hosted by Apostle John Kimani William and Reverend Naomi Kimani.
But the Holy Spirit of the living God, tukijiachilia kwake yanaweza kutubadilisha.
This conference will ignite your faith with the theme The Arising of the Deborahs, inspired by Judges chapter 5 verse 7. Get ready to be uplifted by dynamic ministers of the word, including Pastor Julia Karanja, Prophetess Winnie Andrew.
The song was different in the nation of Israel because somebody stood. May you stand, that the song of that family will change.
Reverend Miriam Givenji, Reverend Jacqueline Mwando, and Reverend Sami Mahoya. The conference will be enriched with a powerful anointed worship experience with guest minister Ann Thuo. Boarders are welcome. Remember to bring bed sheets and personal amenities. Blankets will be provided. Ladies, your season to arise is now. Register today at www.mbcimissions.com/ladies. This is the encounter that will change your life. See you there.
Toothpick kwa Kiswahili inaitwaje?
Shut up everybody. Listen.
Eh?
Hey!
Nataka unipatie spelling ya neno metaphor. Inaanza na M. Metaphor.
Metaphor. M-E-T-A-F-A. Metaphor in English. M-E-T metaphor. T-E-F-E-R.
Nataka unikamilishie. Utajiri ni?
Shut up everybody. Listen.
Utajiri ni umaskini.
Utajiri ni?
Umaskini.
Nestled just 11 kilometers from Nakuru town along the Njoro Road, Bridgewater Primary and Junior Schools offers a unique learning experience in a peaceful and conducive environment. Our dedicated staff ensures that every child receives the attention they deserve with a small student-to-teacher ratio that enhances individualized learning. With state-of-the-art science and computer laboratories, your child will have access to modern learning resources that prepare them for a bright future. We provide ample space for recreation and rest with a large playground for physical activities and clean, spacious dormitories with 24-hour resident matrons ensuring your child's safety and well-being. Every learner is provided with enough textbooks in all learning areas, ensuring they all have what they need to succeed academically. Transport is available, making it easy for both day and boarding students to access the school. Your child's safety is our priority, with a secure environment to ensure peace of mind for every parent. Bridgewater
Water Primary and Junior Schools is committed to maintaining a clean environment and providing a reliable water supply sourced directly from our own borehole. At Bridgewater, we offer affordable school fees without compromising the quality of education. Join us today and give your child a brighter future. For more details, contact 0727 070 076 or 0752 730 715. Bridgewater Primary and Junior Schools, where your child's journey to success begins.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
King feared them.
Na hili pia
kuna venye tume interpret mapenzi in a different way venye haipaswi. Sasa unasema mapenzi ni kupewa pesa, mapenzi ni nywele itengenezwe, mapenzi ni nguo inunuliwe, mapenzi ni unipeleke na jet.
Tumeona mtu anakonda anajikondea kabisa anakaa mzeti kwa sababu ya mapenzi.
Mazungumzo haya Maisha na Biblia ni kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 hadi saa 4 asubuhi. Yanakujia moja kwa moja na kwa wakati mmoja ndani ya radio na runinga wipendayo ya MBCI. Tunabadilisha maisha.
Nao walimshinda kwa damu ya mwana-kondoo na neno la ushuhuda wao. Ni kitabu cha Ufunuo 12 mstari wa 11.
So mi siku ya 4 ndo nilipatikana asubuhi.
Kila siku ya Jumapili kuanzia saa 2:30 za usiku na vilevile Alhamisi kuanzia saa 12 za jioni.
Babu na shosho akasema huyu mwanamke atoke kwa boma ama nitupe kwa choo.
Itakuwa ni kipindi cha uhalisia ambacho kinakuletea shuhuda za watu mbalimbali.
Nimeshikwa nikiwa pia tuko na bangi kwa soko
ambao wamesaidiwa na Mungu. Ukiwa nami Paul Kagi.
Bible Exposition is your #1 biblical televised program that brings you introduced storylines and insights about the books in the Holy Book, featuring different men of God. This is where you get to know more about the Bible.
The book of Deuteronomy,
in the book of Numbers,
the book of Leviticus.
Different and hard questions answered and your concerns addressed.
There are people who are spirit-filled, but they don't have the knowledge.
Coming to you every Monday, 7:30 a.m. to 10 in the a.m.
and every Sunday from 10:30 p.m.
Brought to you by myself, Silas Chiminingwa. Tell a friend to tell a friend, not to miss. Only on MBCI TV.
Are you ready for the most uplifting inspirational songs? Join us every Friday from 7:35 to 10 a.m. as we host incredible music ministers. For inspirational conversations,
it's a lot of organization that goes, a lot of division of labor,
and unforgettable tips. 7:35 to 10 a.m. Welcome to The Relationship Show, your ultimate guide to navigating the complexities of love, family, friendships, and everything in between.
We need to be aware of our thoughts. Remember, thoughts result to our actions.
Each week, we dive into topics like trust, communication, managing expectations, and overcoming obstacles, because we know that every connection comes with its own set of challenges. So, Tune in and let the relationship show inspire and empower you to build stronger, healthier connections.
I will make him a helpmate. So this woman was made to understand this man.
Remember, every Tuesday from 7:35 a.m. and Sunday from 9 p.m. only on MBCI TV. The Relationship Talk Show, where relationships are nurtured one conversation at a time.
All right, we're back after that very short break. Samahani sana. And as I had said, is that today we are talking about malaria. And as we started, our nurse had told us about what malaria is and how it is transmitted. Now, I know ndo swali yenye watu wengi kwa now, as ukisikia about malaria, is that what is usually the very common first symptoms of malaria?
The commonest, as I said earlier, you see, people are different. The way I'll react to infection is different from the way you will react to infections.
Yeah.
But the commonest signs you'd see in a patient who's having malaria are like fever, chills, you feel cold, saa zingine unasikia baridi kidogo kidogo.
Yeah.
And ukijifunika unasikia joto, so the chills that are on and off.
Yeah.
Someone could also experience like joint pains, headache, vomiting, but these signs are not so specific to everyone.
Yeah.
People experience their signs of malaria differently, but those are the earliest signs you'd see in a patient who's having malaria.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they very similar to any other disease?
Yes, there are so many other diseases that would present like that.
Okay.
Corona, for example, I would say. And many other viral diseases or any other diseases that might present with the same signs. But what I know is that when someone comes to the hospital with such signs, we would have some other differential diagnoses. That's why we'll have to think of other diseases before we even think of malaria. But what now cuts it off is when we take you to the lab, we send you to the lab, and then we do the necessary tests. When they come back positive is when we now start treating for malaria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a group of people who are most vulnerable to malaria?
Yes, I'd say. Actually, the children under 5 years, children under 5 years, and the pregnant women. I think the children under 5 years would say it's because their immunity is still low, and even the pregnant mothers. The pregnant mothers carry a lot. The pregnancy, you have the physiological changes going through your body. It can as well affect your immunity. So it puts the pregnant women also at risk of having malaria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for this particular group of people, is there a way that you would prevent yourself from getting malaria?
Yes. There are preventive ways of malaria. I would start with actually for everyone else.
Yeah.
We know so well that malaria affects different places differently. Like we would say in Nakuru County, Nairobi County, we are in seasonal areas where we only experience malaria during the rainy seasons or seasons after the heavy rains.
Yeah.
But you'd find there are different areas like the lake region areas and the coastal region areas. You'd find that malaria is so endemic there. So in regions where we are experiencing malaria infections highly, we would recommend that people sleep under insecticide treated nets. And maybe to clear the bushes and to clear the pool of waters that lie around the houses. Because I would say the female Anopheles mosquito likes breeding in places where there's stagnant water and maybe the warm areas, the tins that have been thrown all over, scattered. So we can prevent malaria through maybe advising the pregnant women and their children that they sleep under treated nets, and also to clear the bushes, to clear the pools of water around the places. And for pregnant women, we are giving preventive treatments. We give it like in 3 doses during their pregnancy. But as I said earlier, it's only done in places that are endemic to malaria, the malaria endemic zones. You'd find that if you're pregnant, you're being prescribed for the drugs, we call them IPT drugs. You take them during your pregnancy to prevent you from getting malaria. And even for the under 5s, the ones that maybe live in places that are not high with malaria, when you travel to the areas that you get exposed to malaria, we advise that you get the prophylactic treatment so that when you go there, at least you are somehow protected. But that doesn't qualify you not to sleep under an insecticide-treated area when you go to the endemic regions.
All right.
We still advise that even if you take the prophylactic treatment, when you go over there, you sleep under the insecticide-treated nets so that you don't get bitten by the mosquito.
All right. Yeah. And apart from the pools of water or when it's very rainy or after heavy rainfalls, as you've mentioned, what are other things that you should look out for to know that this place is malaria endemic?
Actually, when you look at the reason why I think they say that the lake region is high endemic in malaria is because of the lake Victoria. You see, there's a lot of water bodies there, plus the other, I think because of the lots of the body water that is so large there. And even if you look at coastal region, we would say that. And then, as we also said, the mosquito likes breeding in warm places. So maybe the bushes around and the scattered areas would also put up an area mostly invaded with the mosquito.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see. Okay. Now, we'll be taking a short break, which is really not a break because they're looking at vox pops. And here we get to see what people know about malaria, what they think about malaria, how they get treated, because we also need to talk about all that. As we come back, we'll be coming back to discuss what you say and also take a look at some of the myth busters. For now, let's get the vox pops.
Systems za malaria, saa ingine kuna yule anaumwa na tumbo, kuna yule anaumwa na kichwa, so zinakuja in a different way.
Okay, kuna headache, na kuna fever, joint pains, and at times una feel kutapika or nausea, and una feel ukiwa weak mwili.
Kama headache, kuumwa na kichwa, sometimes unasikia stomachache, mgongo, joints zinakuuma, unasikia yani kuchoka, uko mvivu hivi, na sometimes unaweza kosa appetite na kutapika. Na sometimes watu sio kila mtu anapata hiyo symptoms. Wengine wapendi mafuta, hawakuli mafuta, chakula ziko na mafuta, wakikula vitu ziko na mafuta. Yani inakaa kama hawa watu wenye wako na body hivi, hizo symptoms. Hiyo tu ndo najua.
Kuna unaumwa na kichwa, kutabika, mwili unaweza sikia baridi ama joto kwa masaa ingine, na mwili unakosa nguvu.
I absolutely love to hear people talking about the symptoms of malaria during a discussion. Si time yenye mtu ni mgonjwa. During a discussion. And you've heard what people are saying about the symptoms. So maybe take us through some of the symptoms, and these would say the major symptoms of malaria.
Okay. As we've said earlier, malaria presents with the fever. It presents with the joint pains, chills, and joint pains, and I would say headache mostly, nausea, sometimes vomiting. But you see, they advise that once you realize that maybe you have signs indicating that you're having malaria, or maybe you visited an area that is high prevalent for malaria, and maybe you have the signs, it's good you seek treatment as early as possible. Because once you wait for malaria to complicate, it can even lead to death. And for even the pregnant women, it can lead to you giving birth prematurely, or even going into labor when you're not supposed to be going into labor. And even death, because malaria kills. That's one of the things that I think we should get to know. So once malaria complicates, it brings along some other very bad signs, like anemia, because one thing with malaria is that the parasite affects the liver first, and then it replicates in the liver, then it spreads to the bloodstream, where it affects now the the main carrier of blood through the body.
Yeah.
That is the red blood cells. So when it affects the red blood cells, we end up having now the blood levels. Instead of your blood carrying the oxygen as it's supposed to be, it ends up carrying the malaria through your body. So you would end up that it keeps destroying the red blood cells, and one ends up having anemia.
Yeah.
So anemia is one of the very bad signs that you wouldn't want a pregnant woman to have, or even anyone who has malaria.
Yeah, really.
And another thing with malaria, as we've said, it replicates in the liver. It spreads through the bloodstream, goes to the liver. So if this occurs for a long period of time, it might lead to damage of the liver, which is very bad. And that is why you'd even find that some people would present with jaundice, the yellowness of the skin, the yellowness of the mucous membranes in patients. So it can affect the liver. The malaria itself would also affect the brain. And that is why we even have cerebral malaria, where it affects the brain, it brings convulsions, it brings coma, and it can also bring seizures in patients. So it is not a good thing that I would say, but I would advise that once we realize that you're having malaria, it's good you seek treatment instead of treating yourself at home. Yeah, it's good you seek treatment, you get proper treatment, because malaria treatment for mild malaria it only takes 3 days to be given the treatment and you're done with it. So it's good you seek treatment so that you don't walk into the hospital when you're critically ill. Because if you have malaria for the longest time, it can also lead to you having organ failure. The kidneys would fail, the lungs would fail because of the complication that comes with malaria.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now that you've told us about like how bad malaria would be, we'd want to know how soon should one visit the hospital?
As soon as you see the signs.
Yeah.
As soon as you see the signs, it's good you visit the health facilities for consultation, so that even if it is not malaria, you get treatment as prompt as it is needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as we said, the signs would come in different ways and in different days, depending on person's immunity and different persons. It would even take even up to maybe a month for someone to start presenting with signs of malaria, depending on your immunity. But most of the earliest signs come before the first 2 weeks of being exposed to the parasite. Yeah.
All right. And for someone who's living in a not malaria endemic area, is it really important for them to have the vaccinations?
Okay, vaccinations are to prevent us from getting malaria, right? Yeah. So I would say that, okay, we say that, for example, Nakuru is an area that doesn't have malaria. That is what people assume. But it is a seasonal region. Yeah, it depends with what season. Actually, that we've said that it occurs after the rainy seasons. That's when you'd get a few cases of malaria in Nakuru or areas that we assume do not have. So I would say that vaccinations, yes, we can get the vaccination. It's one of the preventive measures to prevent malaria. So we can get vaccinations, but it's more to the endemic regions. But even in Nakuru, we can get vaccinations. And even in Nakuru, we can still advise mothers and the small children to sleep under insecticide-treated nets.
Okay. How effective is the indoor sprays and the nets? Because that is one of the questions that we really get, especially the people who live in the malaria endemic areas like Mombasa and Kisumu. They're very prone to using nets and the indoor sprays. How effective is that?
I would say it is very effective if used well. If used well, because if I'm sleeping under net and still there's a pool of water around my house, I'll still get the malaria. I'll still get the mosquitoes coming to my house. And it's not all the time that I'll be under the net, insecticide treated nets. So I would say even the spraying and the sleeping under treated nets are just the major ways of preventing. But we as people who are in these endemic areas, we're supposed to be also protecting ourselves. We must make sure that our environment is clearly out of the high amount of or putting us at high risk of having the the mosquitoes coming to our houses.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And I see we have questions coming in. Just to remind you that today we're talking about malaria, and our numbers are very open for that. That is 0721105105 on WhatsApp, 23814. Our SMS code, which is absolutely free of charge. We're live on Facebook on MBCI TV Facebook page. We're live on YouTube on MBCI TV official YouTube page. We'll be coming back to read your feedbacks after the break, because we only have 10 minutes to take a very short break, because it will be 9 by then. But for now, I'd love for us to know the symptoms of malaria. Are they different for kids and adults? And if so, how different are they?
Okay, the signs are not so much different, but the way malaria would hit a grown-up person would be, I would say it would be a little bit milder than when it hits a child of 1 year old, because the signs are still the same. The fever is still the same fever. The headache would still be the same. It's only that in children they might not be able to tell you naumwa na hapa, because some of them are not even in that age of talking. Hata kuambia mimi nasikia hapa inaniuma. They'll just be crying, being irritable. Those are some of the signs you'd see in children that you might not see in adults. Because they might not be able to tell you, I'm sick. They'll just be crying a lot. They might refuse to feed. And maybe through that, it's when you realize that, oh, my child is not feeling well. Because they've not told me wako na headache. Unaona mtu mkubwa anakuambia yenyewe mimi kichwa inaniuma sana. Mwingine atakwambia mimi nasikia kutapika. Mtoto might not be able to express that in the best language. Kazi yake ni kulia. So maybe irritability, restlessness would come differently in children. But most of the signs and symptoms would come the same as in adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now for pregnant mothers, you say they are one of the people who are very disposed to getting malaria. And you told us about some of the ways where they can prevent themselves from getting malaria, especially the pregnant mothers who are in the areas that are malaria endemic. So for this particular group of ladies, apart from the vaccinations, as you've talked about, do they have any ways, like eating, lifestyle ways, that would help them to, be safe from malaria?
Okay, nutritionally, I wouldn't say that nutritional measures would prevent someone from getting malaria. But I would say nutritionally, it would just boost your immunity.
Okay.
But the best way to prevent malaria is to sleep in the insecticide-treated nets. And maybe start your clinics early so that you get, there's some tests that we do to pregnant women. It's called ANC profiles. In malaria endemic areas, you'd even find that they test for malaria. So the early you visit the clinics, you get tested early. Sometimes malaria might present, you might be having malaria, but you've not started seeing the signs. So if it is diagnosed early, you get treatment early. You see, that's a plus for you as a mother. So starting your clinics early, once you realize you're pregnant, you get tested, you do through the ANC profile. You get the preventive treatment for malaria, which is given to pregnant women. You get the insecticide-treated nets, which I think they are in endemic areas. I think they are given like every semester. You have to be given a net. So that is good. So for pregnant women, it's just to encourage them to start their clinics early enough for early detection. Apart from malaria, there are other complications that would come with pregnancy. So when you start your clinics early, it becomes so easy for you, or it becomes so easy to know where the problem is, so that we prevent the complications early enough.
Okay. And I absolutely love that you are stressing on treated nets.
Treated
Don't just sleep under a net. It should be treated nets.
True.
And maybe please tell us, for the people who are usually sleeping under nets, how would you know that this one is a treated net? This is just a net just because?
Okay, the treated nets are treated because, one, you are given by the Ministry of Health. So it's something that is professionally done, and the MOH has also ensured that it has the the right amount of insecticide, the insecticide repellent drug in it. It might not be excess, it is not going to be less, but it's just enough for you. So you cannot go to the shop and buy a net and you say you are still safe. But this one also repel. Remember, it is insecticide treated. So when you sleep in it, it repels mosquitoes away from biting you. Unlike a net that you just walk in a shop and buy and sleep, it doesn't have the repellent insecticide. So I would say it's effective because it has the repellent effect.
Okay. Perfect. Now, we'll be looking at healthy living so that we'll be able to understand how to live healthy and how to make sure that you're not infected by malaria, which is one of the most dangerous diseases, as you've seen that it can get very fatal, even leading to death and failure of some organs. And that's why nurses say that it's very important for you, ukiona tu symptoms as early as it can be, make sure that you go get checked. Every time on this show we talk about self-treatment and Dr. Google, which we absolutely are against. So make sure if you feel any effect, if you feel you have some symptoms here and there that could be malaria or anything else, please go get checked. You'd rather go alafu ambiwe apana, you good, just stay healthy, you'll be fine, rather than stay for so long and then you'll have to start treating some other side effects and, you know, organ failures, which would be on the other very extreme end. So for now, let's get to take a look at healthy living so that we'll know how to live healthy. And this particular segment has been brought to you by Sylvia Wanja.
Hello and welcome to Healthy Living. My name is Sylvia Wanja. Today we are going to discuss about malaria prevention tips. Malaria is a serious and sometimes fatal disease caused by parasites transmitted through the bites of infected Anopheles mosquitoes. Here are key ways to prevent malaria. Number 1, sleep under insecticide-treated mosquito nets. Use long-lasting insecticidal nets every night, especially in malaria-prone areas. Ensure the net is tucked in properly to avoid mosquito entry. Replace or retreat the net if damaged or worn out. Number 2, eliminate mosquito breeding sites. Draining standing water in ditches, buckets, flower pots, old tires, and containers around the home. Clear bushes and tall grass around homes. Keep water tanks and containers covered. Number 3, use mosquito repellents. Apply DEET-based or natural repellents on exposed skin. Use mosquito coils, sprays, or plug-in repellents inside rooms. Wear protective clothing like long sleeves and pants, especially in evening or early morning. Number 4, indoor residual spraying. Have your house sprayed with approved insecticides by public health authorities. IRS kills mosquitoes that rest on walls and ceilings after biting. Number 5, take preventive antimalarial medication, that is when traveling or high risk. If traveling to high risk areas, consult a doctor about prophylactic antimalarial drugs. Number 6, screen your home. Install windows and door screens to prevent mosquitoes from entering. Sleep in rooms with air conditioning or fans which deter mosquitoes. Number 7, educate and protect vulnerable groups. Children under 5, pregnant women, and the elderly are at higher risk. Ensure they consistently sleep under nets and receive proper treatment if infected.
Perfect. So that is it on Healthy Living by Sylvia Wanja. Thank you so much for that particular segment. Let's talk about covering, you know, tanks and water storages that you have at home. How dangerous is it for people who just leave their tanks open and stuff? Would it be probably in an area that is not malaria endemic, but your tank is open, your water storage is just uncovered? Would that be a risk for getting malaria in the homestead?
Yes, that's a risk, because these areas are areas that the mosquitoes are going to create those areas to breed. That's where they want to stay with their families, and they grow. So as they grow, you remember that you're also at risk of them biting you. So when they bite you, you also get malaria. So that's why I think we insist on covering the water tanks or even clearing the tins and the places that might lead to them breeding. So when we create those places, they get houses to stay there and stay there with their families.
Yeah.
And that's a risk for us. So we have to just make sure that those places are covered so that they don't get a place to breed and multiply. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Now, when you come back from the break, we'll be looking at some of the mythbusters. But before we do that, we'd love to hear from you, because you've been treating these for quite some time now. Is that what's one of the major myths that you've heard, especially from the patients, that surrounds malaria?
Okay, most patients would believe that the ones that I've heard is patients believe that, I think tukua wadogo tukua tunasema ukikula maembe mbichi utapata malaria.
Oh yeah.
You've ever heard that? Ukikula maembe mbichi utapata malaria. Ama ukinyeshewa utapata malaria. But now I think with the upcoming internet and social media, people are becoming enlightened and getting to know what really causes malaria. So the myths were the causes, the risk factors to malaria. Mimi nimekunywa maji baridi. Sasa ama nimenyeshewa ndio maana nikapata malaria. Ama nimekula kitu fulani ndio maana nikapata malaria. So those are just myths, because we are learning that malaria, we have to get it from being bitten by a mosquito that is already infected with the parasite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you. Now, so that is it. We'll be coming back after this very short break, and as we come back, we'll be looking at some of the myths that surrounds malaria. Iye kukula maembe mbichi, I had it years ago. Years ago. Yani, you've opened up so many files. But we'd love to hear from you. What are some of the myths that you know that surrounds malaria? And you'd want to hear, maybe you are not very sure if it's a myth or not. We'll be coming just to clear the air on that. So for that, our numbers are very open, and I'll just repeat it, that it's 0721105105 on WhatsApp, 23814, our SMS code, which is absolutely free of charge. Of course, we're live on Facebook on MBCI TV. We're live on YouTube on MBCI TV official YouTube page. So a very short break, and then we'll be coming right back.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
This is the season. Ladies, it is your time to arise. It is a time to be a Deborah. Kingdom Seekers Fellowship invites you to the annual Ladies Conference 2025 from 8th to 11th April 2025. Join us at the Harvest Cathedral, Nakuru, for 4 powerful days of transformation, empowerment, and revival. The conference will climax with a glorious Kesha on Friday, 11th April from 9:30 p.m. Hosted by Apostle John Kimani Williams and Reverend Naomi Kimani.
But the Holy Spirit of the living God, tukijiachilia kwake, yanaweza kutubadilisha.
This conference will ignite your faith with the theme, The Arising of the Deborahs, inspired by Judges chapter 5 verse 7. Get ready to be uplifted by dynamic ministers of the word, including Pastor Julia Karanja, Prophetess Winnie Andrew.
The song was different in the nation of Israel. Because somebody stood, may you stand, that the song of that family will change.
Reverend Miriam Givenji, Reverend Jacqueline Mwando, and Reverend Sami Mahoya. The conference will be enriched with a powerful anointed worship experience with guest minister Ann Thuo. Boarders are welcome. Remember to bring bed sheets and personal amenities. Blankets will be provided. Ladies, your season to arise is now. Register today at www.mbcimissions.com/ladies. This is the encounter that will change your life. See you there.
Toothpick kwa Kiswahili inaitwaje?
Shut up everybody. Listen.
Eh?
Hey!
Nataka unipatie spelling ya neno metaphor. Inaanza na M. Metaphor.
Metaphor. M-E-T-A-F-A. Metaphor in English. M-E-T metaphor. T-E-F-E-R.
Nataka unikamilishie. Utajiri ni?
Shut up everybody. Listen.
Utajiri ni umaskini.
Utajiri ni?
Umaskini.
Nestled just 11 kilometers from Nakuru town along the Njoro Road, Bridgewater Primary and Junior Schools offers a unique learning experience in a peaceful and conducive environment. Our dedicated staff ensures that every child receives the attention they deserve with a small student-to-teacher ratio that enhances individualized learning. With state-of-the-art science and computer laboratories, your child will have access to modern learning resources that prepare them for a bright future. We provide ample space for recreation and rest with a large playground for physical activities and clean, spacious dormitories with 24-hour resident matrons ensuring your child's safety and well-being. Every learner is provided with enough textbooks in all learning areas, ensuring they all have what they need to succeed academically. Transport is available, making it easy for both day and boarding students to access the school. Your child's safety is our priority, with a secure environment to ensure peace of mind for every parent. Bridgewater Primary and Junior Schools is committed to maintaining a clean environment and providing a reliable water supply sourced directly from our own borehole. At Bridgewater, we offer affordable school fees without compromising the quality of education. Join us today and give your child a brighter future. For more details, contact 0727 070 076 or 0752 730 715. Bridgewater Primary and Junior Schools, where your child's journey to success begins.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Perfect. We are back after that very short break, and we did that for you to just see some of the shows that we air on MBCI TV. We say that MBCI TV is a family TV where you get literally everything that you need. Sawa sawa. So shows for kids, everything that you need in one package right here at MBCI TV. So thank you so much for being here. Today we are talking about malaria. This is one of the most common diseases, and we're here to just understand how you can protect yourself from getting malaria and some of the symptoms that surround these and how you'd be able to prevent yourself from that. And just in case some of these symptoms, what are you supposed to do? So that is what we are here to discuss. And for that, any question that you might be having, our numbers are very open. That is 0721105105 on WhatsApp, 23814, our SMS code, which is absolutely free of charge. And of course, we're live on Facebook on MBCI TV. We're live on YouTube on MBCI TV official YouTube page. For now, let's take a look at some of the mythbusters. These are some of the myths that surround malaria. And the first one is that if you have malaria once, you are immune to it for life. Does having malaria once make you immune to having malaria?
No, you will still have malaria. Even if you treated last week and you exposed yourself to malaria, you still have malaria.
In such a short time?
Yeah.
Okay.
After treatment. If it would take, if you get the treatment and then you still get exposed to malaria, the cycle is still the same.
Yeah.
See, there's a cycle of malaria.
Yeah.
Through the mosquito into your body, then you start seeing the signs.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why we still insist that you have to look at the preventive measures. Yeah.
And take good care of yourself.
Take good care of yourself.
Very important.
Yeah.
All right. Into the second mythbuster is that malaria is no longer a serious problem due to modern medicine. Is it?
Yeah, not really. It's still a problem.
Yeah.
If people are not seeking treatment, it will still kill. It's the same malaria to your same body.
Yeah.
So it will still kill if you don't. Okay, the treatment is very effective, very, very effective. And some of them are short term, as we said, 3 days. You're done with your drugs.
Yeah.
But if you still get exposed, you're still going to come to the same drugs for treatment.
Okay.
And then there is also some type of parasite, not the falciparum per se, but there's the vivax and the others, the ovalia and all that. You find that when they get into your liver, they tend, or they they become dormant. They stay there for some time. So instead of them going into the bloodstream and affecting and you seeing the signs, it will be malaria that it gets treated, it comes back again.
Yeah.
It gets treated, it comes. So it's like you're having chronic malaria. It comes, you get treated, it comes back again.
All right.
So, yeah.
The third myth buster is that malaria can be easily prevented by sleeping under a mosquito net.
Can be easily, yeah, true. If it is well treated, as you said earlier.
Okay.
If it is well treated, you can prevent it, but also with other preventive measures.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we'll be coming back to read the feedbacks, but because you have requested for it and you say that you are a guest of honor, we'll be getting the healthy living once again, just to see what we got from Sylvia Wanja. I see we have a few people asking, let's get to see how are some of the what are some of the preventive measures for malaria, and these we are getting from our healthy living segment from Sylvia Wanja.
Hello and welcome to Healthy Living. My name is Sylvia Wanjar. Today we are going to discuss about malaria prevention tips. Malaria is a serious and sometimes fatal disease caused by parasites transmitted through the bites of infected Anopheles mosquitoes. Here are key ways to prevent malaria. Number 1, sleep under insecticide-treated mosquito nets. Use long-lasting insecticidal nets every night, especially in malaria-prone areas. Ensure the net is tucked in properly to avoid mosquito entry. Replace or retreat the net if damaged or worn out. Number 2, eliminate mosquito breeding sites. Draining standing water in ditches, buckets, flower pots, old tires, and containers around the home. Clear bushes and tall grass around homes. Keep water tanks and containers covered. Number 3, use mosquito repellents. Apply DEET-based or natural repellents on exposed skin. Use mosquito coils, sprays, or plug-in repellents inside rooms. Wear protective clothing like long sleeves and pants, especially in evening or early morning. Number 4, indoor residual spraying. Have your house sprayed with approved insecticides by public health authorities. IRS kills mosquitoes that rest on walls and ceilings after biting. Number 5, take preventive antimalarial medication, that is when traveling or high risk. If traveling to high risk areas, consult a doctor about prophylactic antimalarial drugs. Number 6, screen your home. Install windows and door screens to prevent mosquitoes from entering. Sleep in rooms with air conditioning or fans which deter mosquitoes. Number 7, educate and protect vulnerable groups. Children under 5, pregnant women, and the elderly are at higher risk. Ensure they consistently sleep under nets and receive proper treatment if infected.
All right, so that is it on Healthy Living by Sylvia Wanja, and of course that helps you understand what are some of the ways that you can prevent yourself from getting malaria. From there, we'll be looking at some of the questions that you've sent, and this is one of the most common questions that I've gotten, and you've asked in different ways, but I know this will answer all the questions, is that, and I know this is, it should be a myth or it should be true, I don't know. You'll be clearing the air on that, where people are asking if it's okay to use malaria drugs if you're sick, you have malaria but you're pregnant. So is it okay to use malaria drugs?
Yes. Now, with the malaria drugs, it depends with the age of pregnancy. We call it trimester. Yeah. So the early age of pregnancy, there are certain drugs that we cannot use because they might affect the growth of the baby. So when you go to the hospital, it is the clinician or the doctor would know the age of your pregnancy and determine which drug you're going to use. So it is very safe to use the drugs, but the prescribed one, because it has to go with the age of your pregnancy. There's some drugs that you cannot use below 12 weeks. There's some drugs that you can use effectively after 12 weeks. The second and the third trimester, there's a drug that you use. The first trimester, there's a drug that you use.
So go to hospital.
Self-medication
is where the problem comes in. So don't self-medicate. I know you know about what to use while you're sick, but please go to hospital. It's very important. Yeah. Asema, good morning. I'm having fever and headache. How do I know if it's malaria or just a cold?
Okay. We've said that for you to know if you're having malaria, even if you come to the hospital, I will not be able to know if you're having malaria unless I send you to the lab. So I have to send you to the lab, and it's the lab results that will let me know that you are having malaria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So once again, self-medication is where the problem comes in.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we need to do better there as Kenyans. Can malaria cause stomach pains or vomiting?
Yes, it can. Yeah. There are people who would present with nausea and vomiting. And there are people who would also present with abdominal pains. Yeah, so the signs are different in different people, but you'd have the common signs. But yes, abdominal pains would come in malaria, and even nausea and vomiting.
Okay.
The GIT upset. Yeah.
I see. And Sama, what are some of the natural remedies that would help prevent malaria? Do you have natural remedies?
Natural remedies. I don't know what she meant by natural remedies.
Yeah.
But I think we've talked of the preventive measures. Still, sleeping under the treated nets. I don't know if clearing bushes is a natural remedy.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe making sure that there are no pools of waters around the place that you're staying.
Okay.
And maybe closing the tanks and the water containers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you can take again what you said about meals and diet.
Okay, I talked about nutrition. Nutrition is equally important for everyone, especially the pregnant women, the underage children.
Yeah.
It's still an important thing to look at. There's some foods that give us immunity, of course. So when we emphasize on a client eating a well-balanced diet or a diet that has a lot of maybe vitamins, it is going to help us build our immunity.
Yeah.
So I would still insist that, yes, nutrition will help build immunity, and it would also help us now to prevent maybe some of the infections that would come into our body. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I absolutely love what you said before, is that when you have a stronger immunity, then it also takes time to manifest.
Yeah,
because
true.
your body is fighting. So what you mentioned about eating healthy and making sure that your immunity is intact, that's very important.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. We have Benjamin and Lisa. What are the signs of malaria?
What are the signs of malaria? As you said, fever is fever, nausea, vomiting, headache, jaundice, especially in children.
Yeah.
And restlessness, as we said, restlessness in children, irritability, a child who's crying all the time, or even refusing to feed because of maybe nausea and then vomiting. And anemia, a patient presents pale, and other complicated signs, convulsions, especially in children. You'd find that their brain cannot contain that heat. So the best way is just to go into fits when they become so sick or when they have the high fevers. So convulsions, you'd see them when now the malaria has even reached the brain. Convulsions, coma, and even seizures, the fits. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. And I believe should be the same answer to Peter's question, where he's asking about the effects of malaria. Effects and signs, that really almost the same thing. So unless we have side effects for medication that a malaria patient is given, what are some of the side effects for the medications?
For the medications, okay, actually we have different types of malaria medications that you're giving.
Yeah.
The quinine, the artesunate.
Yeah.
Those ones we are mostly preferring them in severe malaria. And there's also the artemether, the AL, the one that you use for self-medication.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one, it has the effect, you see, the effect of drugs also depends with a person, there's a way that if you take a drug, it would work on you.
Yeah.
And there's a way that it's also going to, I would tell you that if I take Panadol today, I feel nauseated. But you tell me, I don't feel anything. So the way that my body reacts to medicine is also different from yours. But they're just the common side effects. The nausea would come with AL. When you take AL, sometimes you'd feel you are more nauseous than you are even when you are sick. And nausea and vomiting are the most, and even maybe the GI disturbance where you're feeling the abdominal pains, you're vomiting more, or even having diarrhea, but they are not common. But when you see the difference between side effects and the adverse effects, they are the side effects, some of the effects that I can naweza vumilia, nikipata naweza vumilia, si ndio? Na kuna zingine ambazo huwezi. Ikikuja imeleta mambo mingi kwa mwili, I just have to go. So those are the adverse effects, which adverse effects mostly come when maybe you are allergic to the drug, or maybe you've taken it for a long period of time and it has now even affected your liver. So some of the side effects, we can just brush them off, saying that after 3 days I'm done with my drugs, I'll be okay. So such are the effects. Or maybe the effects of malaria. I don't know if Benjamin meant the complications of malaria or he meant the signs. See, there's an effect of malaria too. Death is an effect of malaria. So children being left without parents who died of, or even parents who lose their children, that is an effect of malaria. Or even the complications of malaria such as organ failures, loss of pregnancies, and even giving birth to children that are not, how do I say, milestone. Their milestone is a bit delayed because they had issues in the uterus. Those are also effects of malaria to the pregnant women. So it might not be the signs and symptoms, but the long-term effects of malaria are not something that we can celebrate about. Because if it brings death, that is a very bad effect. If it brings kidney failure, that is a very bad effect. If it brings liver failure, that's a very bad effect. So if we don't treat it, when we are having severe malaria, we don't treat it, it can lead to very bad effects. That is going to maybe affect us for the longest period of time, or it can generally affect our system.
I see. We have someone who's asking, is it true that eating garlic and drinking herbal tea can protect you from malaria?
No. No, I would say
it's a myth.
It's a myth. Though watu wanasema ati garlic inasaidia it's one of the immunity builders, especially for wao wenye wako na ugonjwa ya pressure na nini, but still it doesn't prevent you from getting malaria. Utapata tu. Utapata tu bado.
And you've talked about the preventive measures. That's important. And Eliza, how long does it take to recover fully from malaria?
Okay, if dawa inadepend ile dawa yenye unatumia, but unajua dawa inafanya kazi tukiendelea kumeza ndio inafanya kazi. Ukipewa dawa ya siku 3, utapata siku ya kwanza unasikia improvement. Siku ya pili unasikia uko better, then siku ya 3 utasikia. There are people wenye watamaliza dawa alafu wanasikia kama signs zina wear off. And this is the mistake maybe tunafanya na some other drugs, antibiotics. When you take them unasikia uko relieved, the second day alafu unawacha. Unaona? So adherence to drugs is very important because once you start taking the drugs, there's something inaitwa nitasema ni therapeutic range ya dawa. Inafaa ifanye kazi kwa muda ambao imetengenezwa ifanye kazi kwa mwili yako. So kama inamaliza 3 days, you're supposed to be finishing the drug. Hata kama nimesikia vizuri the first day, nafaa kuimaliza hizo siku 3. Lakini baada ya kumaliza dawa bado unasikia ni kama the signs are still there, it is good you go back to your doctor alafu useme mimi ile dawa umenipea lakini nasikia kama so siwezi sema specific days ya kupona, lakini what I believe is if you take your drugs, si unapona.
And take them correctly.
You are there to your drugs, you'd be okay.
Very important. And Lisa, is it safe to use malaria medications during pregnancy? Think that you answered.
It depends na ni dawa gani na age ya pregnancy ni gani.
All right. Nasema, hello, my name is Nduta. Lisa, what are the signs that malaria is getting worse?
What are the signs that malaria is getting worse? now that it starts affecting the organs. Yeah. Because I started with the hotness of the body.
Yeah.
Ina worsen kidogo kidogo naanza sasa kukua pale. Actually, you're not supposed to feel pale when you're having malaria, unless it may affect, sasa imeingia kabisa, ime spread through the nini. So the commonest signs ni hizo fever, headache, hizo the small signs ile unaweza vumilia. But when now it starts affecting your red blood cells, a patient starts becoming fatigued. You look at your patient, unaona kama anakaa tu pale. Those are signs that you started becoming anemic. And even when you start becoming yellow, it means that your liver has been, the liver cells have been are being fought. So that is why you're presenting with a yellow skin. And even the kidneys, unaanza kususu mkojo ya red, kama iko na damu, inamaanisha even the destruction of red blood cells in your body is very high. So organ failure would indicate that you are starting to have severe malaria, or even the persistent signs and symptoms even after taking your drugs.
Okay. And for that you should seek medical advice.
True.
Which is very important.
Ufai kungoja uanze kuona kama mkojo ni red, kuja hospitali.
Hapo imeenda sana.
Imeenda sana.
All right. Okay. So for the people who've had these, and you know, for the interest of time, we might not be able to read all the questions, but I'm sure that you've covered like 90%, 95% of it. But if you're there and you have any more questions, or you have a concern that you don't want to talk to Doc directly, maybe where can they get you?
I work at Lanet Health Center in free area. Wanaita hospitali ya Muni. Most Nakuru people know it as hospitali ya Muni, just behind the chief camp.
Okay.
There's a government hospital there. That's where I am.
All right. And maybe before you give us your contact, we'd love to know what would be your parting shots on the topic of discussion that we've talked about today, malaria.
Okay. I would just say that still we are insisting, apart from the myths, we'll still insist that malaria kills. And it is very preventable if we look at the preventive measures and if we seek prompt treatment as early as it is required. It can be treated. People have malaria, people get better even in the endemic regions. So we can still seek early interventions once we see the signs. It might not be malaria, but it's good we visit the hospitals. So malaria is treatable, and malaria can also kill. So we have to choose our poison between the two. Do you want to get better early, or do you want it to be severe
really
malaria? So you have to. It kills, yes, that's a bad side of it, and it can also be treated.
Treatable. And you say that the treatments are very effective.
Very effective, and they take only 3 days if you come early.
So if you feel some of these symptoms, just go to hospital early. That's very important. That's very important. All right. Now, kindly share your numbers, your contacts for the people who want to contact or know where they can find you or have any questions. Maybe you can do that. That's your camera.
Okay. My telephone number is 0708 93 93 59. That's my Safaricom line. And then I have an Airtel line. 0780 184 250.
All right. Perfect. You say the Safaricom one is
08 93 93 59.
All right.
That is the line for WhatsApp mostly.
Okay.
I'm not a social media person, so I don't have social media handles.
All right. But people can get you easily through your Safaricom number on WhatsApp. All right. So that is it on your screens, and I know that you'll be able to get any help that you need from there. Others, thank you so much for being with us on this show as we talk about malaria.
Thank you so
and you
much.
said that it's one of the leading killer diseases, but it's very treatable and it's easy to treat. That was very important. Once again, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
So you've had an us, and today we've been talking about malaria, just to get to understand what are some of the preventive measures that we can take to just make sure that we don't fall sick and, you know, go to a hospital or have very complicated issues like organ failures or even worse, death that would be caused by malaria. And we've had a nurse telling us today that it's very treatable, it's easily treatable. 3 days, you're done with medication as long as you go to hospital early enough. So if you'd want to take a look at this discussion once again, it's there on our Facebook page, on MBCI TV, and of course on YouTube, on MBCI TV official YouTube page. So that has been it for now. Let's get into Did You Know? And Tualetoina, the one and only Martin. And on Did You Know today is that, did you know that the oldest living land animal on earth is a 192-year-old tortoise? Aya, akombaka na jina, anaitwa Jonathan. We don't know where Jonathan lives. And tunambiwa that he is 192-year-old. Did you know that? Is it a he or a she? Because we've just decided all of a sudden that it's a he. So, did you know that he or she is 192 years old? He's very old. Oh my goodness. A tortoise, 192. Did you know that? That's new. Please go check that out, because tulisema that did you know inaletanga so that we jog our minds kidogo and check out if it's true or not. So that is it on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And maybe just to remind you, as we wind up, is that we have something really amazing that is happening right here at Kingdom Seekers Fellowship, and that is the Ladies Conference. So if you're there and you know you want to be impacted, this is the place for you. So as you can see on your screens, is that you have the Ladies conference that is going on, started on the 8th and will be going up to the 11th of April 2025. That is this month, this week. And it will be happening right here at Kingdom Seekers, that is the Harvest Cathedral, the main cathedral in Nakuru. And the theme of this year, or this conference, is the Arising of Deborahs. Such an amazing theme, and this tells you that you're going to be impacted, and you have amazing speakers who will be there. We'll be having Pastor Julia, we'll be having Prophetess Winnie, we'll be having Reverend Miriam, we'll be having Reverend Jacqueline, we'll be having Reverend Tammy Mahoya, and of course dad and mom in the Lord, that is Reverend Naomi and Apostle John Kimani Williams will be our host. So come, and we'll be having an amazing time. We'll be climaxing with the Holy Ghost Kesha on the 11th. So it's already going on. It will be starting every day from 9 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. So ikiwa pale nyumbani, just come. You can always follow, of course, during the lunch hours on TV and radio, but of course all through our social media pages on YouTube, on Facebook, and I know that you will get blessed. But kama uko around, just make sure ukuje. So it's already going on, because we say that it will be starting at 9. So as you can see on your screens, it's that it is already going on. Pale Harvest Cathedral. That's our main church right here at Kingdom Seekers Nakuru. So kama uko pale nyumbani, kuja so that you can get impacted tukiwa pamoja. As you can see, is that it's an amazing time in the presence of God. So kuja, and we'll be having an amazing time right here. Others, thank you so much for tuning in. We've been right here to discuss malaria on Afya Clinic, where we talk about everything health, and of course that has been happening on MBCI TV. My name is Rachel Kahogo. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is to wish you an amazing rest of the day, and you know, just to tell you that God loves you, God loves you, God loves you truly. All right. So if you're doubting that, this is a reminder to you that God loves you truly. No matter what's going on, is that God loves you for sure. Okay? God bless you. God be with you. Have an amazing rest of the day. We'll be meeting on Friday, on Gospel Friday, where we'll be having another amazing set. So on Friday, we'll be having Moji Shot Baba, and of course, an amazing team. And we'll be talking about the journey in music. If you're there and you love to get into music, of course, for more information, utakuwa naipata pale on MBCI TV Facebook page. We'll be having a poster coming on in the midst of today. God bless you. God be with you. Have an amazing rest of the day. Bye-bye.